Hello. Today I'm going to explain the public relations assignment as part of 641. I felt like I need to explain a little better just because the syllabus and rubric don't really dig into what it's actually looking for. So I wanted to go a little bit deeper and to make it clear for you as students. All right, first thing is the point of the assignment is to create a public relations model that includes a plan utilizing social media to brand and market your school district for the appropriate certification area. It's not just about branding and marketing, it's more about the communication piece as a whole, about how to communicate, how people can be engaged, what your district is all about, how do you use those different platforms to create that brand, the communication, and the market of your school district to engage stakeholders. So it's basically it's gaining an understanding how to engage stakeholders through a proactive communication plan while also having a communication in place for times where reactive communication is needed, like a crisis of some sort. Because in the end, it's all branding and marketing your district or school through communication. It's how you handle communication, how you handle crisis, how do you engage stakeholders throughout that. So the goal of the assignment is to create a communication engagement plan that utilizes multiple communication strategies and platforms to engage stakeholders in their local school district or school. And all right, so there's a couple things to just kind of pay attention to when you're thinking through the assignment. I split it up into two parts, kind of the proactive way of communicating and marketing and branding your school by using multiple platforms of communication that's just ongoing. Basically, it's building trust with stakeholders and really showing the places where you shine, but also just how do you communicate things or events that are happening in your district, and how do you hit as many stakeholders as possible. So some questions, some guiding questions that you can answer is what platforms will you use to engage and communicate with stakeholders, and how will you use those platforms and strategies to engage different stakeholders. Now think about all the stakeholders you're working with: staff, families, community, students, and sometimes even the greater educational community when you're thinking about outside of your school district borders or outside your school walls. And then what types of items will you want to communicate about or engage stakeholders in order to build trust and understanding among all about what your district is all about and how you engage them. And then I also want you to think about another part of communication and branding is really through reactive strategies. These typically are used when there's a crisis or very little time to proactively communicate about a specific situation. COVID pandemic is a great example. News was changing on a sometimes minute by minute basis, and you had to keep pivoting in order to communicate well and engage your stakeholders, which in the end is building trust and also building your brand, because it's like the way you communicate is building what your school district is all about or your school is all about. Some questions to think about is what steps will you take when needing to communicate about a situation, event, or decision? And even though they may be met with criticism or high emotions, much like, again, the pandemic has created, and there's other pieces too that has happened in our country that we've had to be reactive over. But again, how you react and communicate builds the brand that you have. Who or what roles would you get involved in collaborating around the communication plan? That means, like, would you get human resources, your principals, your assistant principals, your teacher? Like, who do you get involved to create that plan? What components of your proactive plan would you utilize and lean on in a reactive situation? So as much as you might use a social media platform for communicating proactively and engaging stakeholders, you're probably going to use that same social media platform to be reactive about. But how do you help people understand which is a proactive communication, which is one like, you got to read this now because this is important for you as a stakeholder. So the rubric is very general, but if you really stick to those questions that we posed just in the last slide, that will really help you understand, how to go about this assignment. And again, there's no right answer on this. It's just basically how do you engage stakeholders so they know who you are, what you're all about on an ongoing but also reactive basis. And I hope this helps with the assignment as you think about how you would do this based on your specific role.